everyone. Please enjoy this St. Joe virtual tour of Washington, D.C.
The Smithsonian Museum of Natural History features a wide variety of things found in nature. You can begin the tour with present organisms from the animal kingdom or take a trip into the past by walking through the dinosaur fossil exhibit. The museum features a beautiful collection of rocks, minerals, and gems, which we have learned about in class. Some exhibits include Outbreak, Epidemics in the Connected World, the Hall of Mammals, Ocean Hall, Sea Monsters Unearthed, Eternal Life in Ancient Egypt, the Hall of Human Origins, African Voices, the Hall of Fossils, and many more. If you would like to immerse yourself in the wonderful learning experience that is the Smithsonian Natural History Museum, you can take a virtual tour at naturalhistory.si.edu.
Aerospace Museum. The Aerospace Museum is used to commemorate special achievements throughout our history in flight, from Amelia Earhart's plane to samples of planes that were used throughout the wars, as well as how the plane has changed over the years. Located in the museum is an Air France retired Concorde aircraft designed to fly at 50,000 feet and at a Mach speed of 2.04. If that is not fast, the museum also houses the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. In 1990, this aircraft flew from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 20 seconds, an incredible speed of 2,124 miles per hour. That's incredible. The museum is not just about flights in the sky, but also about flights to space. Several pieces of equipment and shuttles sent on early missions to space are located within this museum.
Hey guys, the Washington Monument was built in honor of the first president of the United States, George Washington. Gee, I probably wouldn't have figured out who it was named after, given that name. It stands 555 feet tall and has 897 stairs to climb to the top. Anybody up for a race to the top? Okay. No other construction in Washington, D.C. is allowed to be taller than the monument. Darn. I guess they won't make a monument of me because I would clearly tower over it. It took 30 years to build the monument, and it was finished in 1884, but it didn't open until 1888. I wonder if I took 30 years to teach you guys one lesson, would you guys hang out with me that long? I'm going to fall. No, I'm going to keep standing like the monument. Finally, did you know that at one point they had to stop construction? We're going to keep going due to the Civil War. And when they went back to building it, they had to get more blocks, and those blocks happened to be a different color. If we were there, we could take a look at that and see that. But you look at it the next time you're there. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.
Oh. Hi guys. Next up on our tour, the World War II Memorial. This memorial consists of a plaza and a rainbow pool with 2 memorial arches on each side. One of the arches is for the Pacific Theater and the other for the Atlantic. Within these arches you will find Nike, the goddess of victory, and laurel wreaths with the words victory on land, victory at sea, and victory in the air written. Circling the plaza are 56 granite pillars, one for each of the states, territories, and the District of Columbia, connected by a bronze sculpted rope celebrating the unity of the nation. 4,000 sculpted gold stars on the Freedom Wall commemorates more than 400,000 Americans who gave their lives during the war. Did you know that during the war, a cartoon character named Kilroy was a symbol of a little light-hearted fun, camaraderie among soldiers. Soldiers would see this sign that there were other friendlies that had been there. Kilroy was then placed on the memorial to find as well, and even the band Styx in 1983 paid tribute to this character with their song, Mr. Roboto.
Welcome to the Vietnam Memorial. This memorial was as much as a conflict as the war itself. A contest was created for the design of the memorial. The female college student, Maya Lin, won the contest and was given the assignment for her class. The professor, along with several other Americans, were very upset by the memorial. This is because at first glance, there could be a misunderstanding that this design was chosen because it seemed hidden and wanted to be overlooked just like the war and the veterans from it felt. However, when you look into the reasoning, the design is beautifully and perfectly thought out to pay tribute to the veterans. The black marble wall was built underground and at an angle, so it acted as a barrier of silence within a park filled with people. It also had all names of the servicemen and women that lost their lives etched into it in order for family members and friends to touch and create a rubbing of the family members they lost. As people are identified even now as being lost in the war, names are able to be added as well. Flowers, wreaths, and other mementos are left to honor their loved ones. Even though its beauty and the thoughtfulness towards those that died in the war and their families is now seen, Maya's professors ended up giving her a C in the class due to the design.
Welcome to the Lincoln Memorial, a site in which a statue of President Abraham Lincoln sits looking over the city of Washington, D.C. He will be remembered as a father of our country. Due to Lincoln's determination to unify our country at a time when ideas of what was right could not be further apart, the architects and designers wanted to instill this mindset within his monument. Lincoln is portrayed as a strong leader within our country. The architects used facets on both sides of the chair, which was often mistaken as books. However, the architects knew exactly what they were doing when they designed this architectural beauty. In ancient times, facets were a Roman symbol of power and authority, a bundle of wooden rods and an axe bound together by leather thongs. Another symbol used within this statue is Lincoln's hands, making symbols of his initials A and L. Sculptor Daniel Chester French used molds of Lincoln's hand cast in 1860 to guide his work. From this presentation, many infer the duality of Lincoln's power and strength on the closed left hand and his compassion on peace on the right. Fun fact, on the north wall of this memorial, the word future in Lincoln's second inaugural address is misspelled as "future." The bottom of the first letter was later filled in to be to correct the mistake, but it's easy to spot the repair. Nothing like a few $100,000 mistake to make this memorial.
Located at 1964 Independence Avenue Southwest to honor the same year the Civil Rights Act was passed, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial is the first to honor an African American individual. Although the memorial was authorized in 1996, the dedication date would be 15 years later. Originally planned for August 28, 2011, on the 48th anniversary of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, the actual ceremony was postponed until October 16th. Every aspect of the memorial is significant and symbolic with two main parts, the Mountain of Despair and a Stone of Hope. This references a line in Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. Quote, "With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope." End quote. Dr. King is captured in a moment of reflective thought, looking determined and resolute. The detachment of the stone of hope from the mountain of despair symbolizes the victory born from disappointment. A wall of quotes is also present. Taken from Dr. King's long civil rights career, the quotes represent his ideals of peace, democracy, justice, and love. Even though the quotes are about the struggle for America's civil rights, they are a reminder and inspiration for the work that still needs to be done across the globe. Dr. King was assassinated on April 4, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee, while supporting Black sanitary public works employees. The Dr. King Memorial honors his legacy and struggle for freedom, equality, and justice. He worked relentlessly advocating for racial equality, the working class, and the oppressed around the world.
Arlington National Cemetery holds approximately 400,000 servicemen and women. Only 2 presidents are buried there, JFK and Harry Truman. The property and home originally belonged to Robert E. Lee and his wife Mary Custis Lee, but was seized by the government after he abandoned this home during the Civil War. One of the most moving and respected ceremonies takes place at Arlington National Cemetery. It is known as the Changing of the Guards. The military guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is changed in an elaborate ceremony, which happens every hour on the hour during the winter months and every half an hour during the rest of the year. As a sign of respect for the soldier and in a symbol for all those that may not have been identified but gave their lives for the war, the individuals that guard the tomb are held to the strictest standards and are to follow precise movements. This is one of my favorite places to visit in Washington, D.C. And during this time of year, there are over 243,000 flags covering the grounds of Arlington National Cemetery.
Hi, 8th grade. Welcome to this virtual tour of the Korean War Veterans Memorial Site. This is not a singular monument. It is actually an interactive installation that has sculptures and walkways and all kinds of areas that are very impactful in the way that they convey the sentiment and the dramatic nature of the war and the foot soldiers, as well as the people that supported them. I hope that you enjoy. Memorial is located near the Lincoln Memorial on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. It was dedicated on July 27, 1995. The memorial commemorates the sacrifices of the 5.8 million Americans who served in the U.S. Armed Forces during the 3-year period of the Korean War. The war was one of the most hard-fought in our history. During its relatively short duration from 1950 to 1953, 36,574 Americans died in hostile actions in the Korean War. The 19 stainless steel statues were sculpted by Frank Gaylord of Barre, Vermont, and cast by the Talix Foundries of Beacon, New York. They are approximately 7 feet tall and represent the ethnic cross-section of America. The advance party has 14 Army, 3 Marine, 1 Navy, and 1 Air Force members. The mural wall was designed by Lewis Nelson, a sculptor and architect who worked closely to create a 2-dimensional work of art adjacent to the 3-dimensional statues. The wall consists of 41 panels extending over 164 feet. Over 2,400 photographs of the Korean War were obtained for the National Archives for this wall. The mural represents those forces supporting the foot soldier and depicts the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard personnel and their equipment. There is also a reflective pool at the end of the memorial site that is encircled by the United Nations wall, which is also engraved and has a walkway with markers that list the 22 nations that contributed troops to the United Nations efforts in the Korean War.
Welcome to the United States Capitol Building Tour. This building was commissioned in 1793. It was burnt down during the War of 1812, but it was decided to be rebuilt, extended later, and finally restored to its beauty today. As you enter in the Visitor Center, there is a replica of the Statue of Freedom. She stands on top of the dome at 19.5 feet tall and weighs over 13,000 pounds. On the bottom is the nation's motto, E pluribus unum, which we know in Latin means out of many, one nation. Holding up this dome and 13,000 pounds are 40 columns in a place called the crypt. In the center is a single star. That star represents the center of the Capitol building as well as the center of Washington, D.C. There are also 13 statues inside the crypt that represent the original 13 colonies. This is also the place where George Washington was to be buried. However, he chose to stay at Mount Vernon. Later, you come across the rotunda. Inside, there are many paintings that represent the discovery of America all the way to the Revolution period. On top of the dome is a painting of the apotheosis of Washington, D.C. This is where the painter is trying to depict Washington into a godlike form, meaning giving him strength and showing how important he was to the United States. We then enter into the Statuary Hall. It used to be the House of Representatives, but now holds 38 statues that are figures representing historical people, one from each state, and some have two. Inside this is Francis Pierpont to represent West Virginia. Right down the hall on the south wing is the House of Representatives. And then on the other side, in the north wing, you'll find the Senate. Thank you for visiting the Capitol.